In this video, I want to show you how you can set up deep linking using custom URL schemes inside of your lovable native mobile application for iOS and Android. Deep linking is very cool because it allows you to synchronize your web application with your mobile application, meaning if a user goes to a link on your web app, it will open that specific page inside of the mobile app if they have the mobile app installed, and if they don't have the mobile app installed, it'll just go to your web app. So it's a great web native experience, cross-platform experience. So let's set it up together. It's super simple. So let's start with iOS. We need to make sure that inside of Despia, this is the framework, the runtime that we're going to use to turn our lovable application into a true native mobile application, we have web app synchronization enabled. You can find this under add-ons, hard-coded, and then you go to web app synchronization and you make sure that you have it turned on. Now, if you have that turned on already, you're good to go. If you just turn it on, make sure that you republish your application for Apple iOS and Google Android, because you need to change the native binary code that is being generated by Despia. Now, I already have that set up, so we can skip this step. Now, the next step will be to register the app links. Those are going to be the files that are going to be added to your project to tell Apple and Google, this is how we want this to be handled. So for iOS, it's pretty simple. We need to create and host an AASA, an Apple App Site Association file, under a specific path in our application. So we're going to take this path and we're going to go to Lovable. And let's say I need to host a file under, I'm going to put the path in here, and then it needs to be this file. And now I'm going to paste the file inside of here. This is the file structure, right? And I'm going to paste this. And now here's what we need to do. We need to put our bundle ID and our team ID inside of here. So where do we get the bundle and the team ID? Very simple. So the bundle ID inside of here is something that we can get from the Despia editor. So if we go on Publish App, we scroll up here, we will find our app bundle ID. We can copy that inside of here. So it's this one here, the com.despia.app in my example. And we're going to go to Lovable and we're going to paste this inside of here. And now we need the team ID. And this is something that we can find in the Apple developer account. I'm now at developer.apple.com, and you will see under membership details, you will find your team ID, and you can copy that team ID from here. So now we go back to Lovable and paste the team ID in here. So you need to have the team ID, a period, and then the bundle ID. And that's it, and you'll keep the rest as is. And now we're going to send this to Lovable. This will now set up native deep linking for iOS, and then we'll be able to test this. Keep in mind, it can sometimes take 1 to 2 hours for it to properly update because it has to go through Apple's system. Same with Google, so we'll just wait a little bit. But let's first have Lovable create that. So Lovable is now editing an Apple App Site Association file. It creates the file under the specific path, and you will see it was now edited in the code. So let's take a look at the code. As you can see, we have this JSON file created here. The data is correct. It's under the specific path, and it's a public file. So it's exactly what we want. So we're good to go. Now, one thing to test is let's take this path here. Let's copy this path, and let's publish our application. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to extend take our URL, put the path after it, see if the file is being properly loaded. We need to make sure that the content headers are JSON, but it should have set that up because it is a JSON file. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, you see how it downloads this JSON file when I go on here. This looks perfect. So this is it. Now we have it published. Now we need to set this up. This should, in theory, work already. Now, in theory, practice is always a little bit different. But here's what you want to do. Now, if you go to a link and click on that link, this link still opens on the browser. It doesn't open in our native application. Why? here's what happens. This can take a little bit for Apple to properly set it up. So if we click on the link again, I still assume it would not open in the application. Yeah, it still opens in the web. So why does this happen? This happens because when you download the application through test flight, there's still something being cached. So you're not actually testing the latest version. So what you need to do is you need to delete your application that you're testing this on. You need to go to install it again on test flight, and then it can still take up to an hour for it to properly appear and be set up. So let's open this. Okay, now we're going to allow all the stuff for our application here. Okay, let's close this application and let's try following. Let's try reloading this page in Safari. And now you see what just changed. We now have this open in app banner on top of the Safari page. So if I actually go inside of my web application, you will see open. And now it opens actually the page from my web application in my mobile application. And I did mess up the save area, so no comments on that. It's an implementation issue, but there you go. You now have this specific page open. So let's say the page I have open in my mobile application is the home page, and I go to my web application and I open this, page. It will now open the specific page in my mobile application. How cool is that? But it goes even further. Let's say you're sending your user a link to your application. Now, if they click on this link here, it will open this page in the native mobile application through the web app link. Now, the nice thing is that the fact that you can build your web app in Lovable and use Despia to turn it into a mobile app really lets you build a great cross web to native experience where links from your web app can go into your mobile app, and it's just a great ecosystem. Also, if you click on a link that goes to a specific page, like /page in my example here, you will see how it opens the page in my mobile application on iOS. So that is how deep linking works on iOS, and it's quite simple and easy to set up. And now we'll do Android. No, Android is actually also quite simple. So for Android, it's important that we go into the documentation, we scroll to the Android configuration section, and we're just doing the same prompt in this time just for Android. But for Android, we're actually not going to take the file structure from here. We're actually going to take the file structure from somewhere else. This is just an example. So we'll copy this, and let's go to Lovable, and let's say, add this file. Let's do add a file under this path. Okay, I'm going to do, here is the file. And now we actually, for the JSON structure, we can't take this from the documentation because it needs a fingerprint. And we need to get the fingerprints from somewhere. Now, you don't need to open the terminal because Google actually gives this to you fully no code. So if we go into our application in the Google Play console, we go to Grow Users, we go to Deep Links, we will see the deep links for our application. Now, it finds some issues because the ownership isn't verified. So how do we verify the ownership? We'll go on Show More, and we can go on View Domains. And now we see that there is this domain issue here, right? So we need to set it up. First of all, you probably want to do credential sharing. This will allow users to have their password that was saved in the browser be used in the app. So let's turn credential sharing on. Now, when we turn credential sharing on, we will get this JSON structure. And it already has the fingerprint generated by Google. So we don't have to do this in the terminal. So we have the fingerprint set up, we have credential sharing and all of that. So let's copy this, let's go to Lovable, and we're just going to paste this inside of here. And let's send this. There you go. Now, Lovable will create that file, it will set that all up, and that will take a little bit. But now, as you can see, I'll create the Android asset links JSON file for you. It's, creating the file, it's setting the file up, we can take a look at the code. We now have public well-known asset links.json. That's the file that we need for deep linking for Android. This looks correct. Now here's what we got to do. We got to go back to latest. We got to publish this now on our project URL here. This will take a little bit, and then we need to wait for Android to verify this. They have a different verification process. It does not involve you deinstalling and installing the application again. They have an interface for that. So we have this here. This was already turned on by the documentation. Now we can click on turn on credential sharing, and it will fail. Now, it will only fail because we haven't done the core verification, and it's a little bit confusing with Android. But what you need to do is you need to do credential sharing first. Then you go to this arrow here on the side under your domains. You click on here, and now you recheck verification, and it will still fail because it will take a couple of minutes for it to properly be cached from your URL. So what we can do is we can expand here, and we can click on this link here. We can copy this link and try opening it. Let's verify. Yeah, we're seeing the URL. That is how it should be. This looks good. So now what we're doing is we're just clicking recheck verification like every 30 seconds or every minute, just making sure that it all gets set up. Now, while I'm doing that, we're going to obviously cut away out of that. So now after about 10 minutes of clicking refresh, it was now successful. So as you can see, it was set up. We can close this. And now if we reload the page, we should see it be activated. Look at that. It's deep linked. So this works. And credential sharing is on. Now we need to turn credential sharing on. Now, because we already have copied it from here, we'll be good to go. Let's turn on credential sharing. And this will be successful. And now we have credential sharing on. Deep linking is enabled. This all looks good. So now we got this all set up here inside of Android. And that's all we need. Now we need to try it on an Android device. And same thing for Android. It could take a little bit till it works. So we'll try this out. So let me share my Android device here. Let's try clicking on this link. And as you can see, this link is still being opened in the Android browser. So, let's try just reloading this page, and it's still being loaded in the Android browser. So we can try closing the browser. With Android, we don't really need to reinstall the application, but because we should get a sign in the browser indicating that we can open the deep link. Again, it can take a little bit. So what I'm just going to do for Android is I'm just going to let's try uninstall it, wait a little bit, and then we'll be back to check in with that. So I deinstalled the application, installed it again. It was actually quite quick. So let's give it a try here. So now if I click on the link here, it will actually open the full application. As you can see, it will open it in the native application. So the web app link on Android is now opened in the native Android application. Now, if I'm going to open the page link for a specific page in the application, it will open this inside of the Android application, as you can see. So that's quite cool. It will open that specific page in the Android application. So if I go back here, I click on that link. As you can see, we got that going here. This opens it in the native application, just like this. And then if I open the specific page link here, it will open that specific page in the native application. And that's how you set up deep linking. Now, on some Android devices, if we were to, can we do this? No, I can only click on it. But on some Android devices, if you were to open it in the browser, it would have a similar badge like it would have on the iPhone. But that's, I think, primarily for devices using vanilla Android, meaning no customization, no one UI on top of that, right? Because sometimes they have their own skins, changing the default behavior of Android because it's open source. But there you go. That's how you set up beautiful web to native synchronization. So you can build beautiful experiences where users click on a link to a page of your application. It opens the application. This works when you send them a link going from an email. So you can have an email campaign with a link. If they click on the link, it opens the specific native page in the application. Or, you can just have them go on Google, if they click on a Google listing, right, it will actually open that page in the native app. So it's a great web native experience here. You got the full deep linking capabilities to just open a specific page in the app from a web app link. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's how you set that up inside of Lovable using the Despia runtime to give you all those exciting native functionalities. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video where we're going to talk about more amazing native functionalities and how you can build native mobile apps inside of Lovable. Take care. Bye.